You're sitting across from your mother at breakfast. She's smiling, talking about her garden, complaining about the neighbor's dog. Normal Tuesday morning. Then you make eye contact. The kitchen disappears. You're standing in a hospital room. The light is that specific fluorescent white that makes everything look already dead. Your mother is in the bed. Not the woman across from you now, full of life and complaints about hydrangeas. This version is skeletal. Her skin is translucent. You can see the exact pattern of veins in her hands as they rest on the blanket. The breathing is wrong, shallow, mechanical. There's a sound you'll never forget, the particular rhythm of a failing heart monitor, not the steady beep, the irregular one, the one that's counting down. You can smell it, disinfectant trying to cover something biological and wrong. You can hear her trying to speak, but her voice is just air moving through a damaged throat. You see the exact time on the wall clock, 3:47 a.m. You see which of her fingers still has the wedding ring. You see the specific way her eyes look past you, not at you, in those final seconds. Then you're back, kitchen Tuesday. Your mother is still talking about the dog. You just witnessed her death, not imagined it, not feared it. You saw it, every detail, every sound, every smell, with the same clarity as seeing her alive right now. And you know, with a certainty that makes your stomach turn to ice, that this is exactly how it will happen. I am the simulator. I am observing what happens to a human mind when uncertainty about death is replaced with absolute knowledge. This is not a gift. This is not a power. This is a cognitive weapon that will systematically destroy everything that makes you functional. We are about to explore what happens when you can see the death of every person you know. Not vague premonitions, not symbolic warnings. Actual, vivid, sensory-complete scenes of how and when they will die. You cannot turn it off. You cannot unsee it. And you will quickly discover that knowing changes nothing about what happens, but it changes everything about who you are. Before we continue, answer this in the comments. If you could see how one person you love will die, would you want to know, or would you refuse to look? The ability doesn't announce itself. There's no moment of transformation, no mystic event. You just wake up on an ordinary Wednesday and the world has been rewired. Your partner kisses you goodbye before work. Eye contact. Suddenly you're not in your apartment anymore. You're on a rain-slicked highway. Night, you're watching from an impossible angle as their car hydroplanes into the concrete barrier. You see the exact microsecond the airbag deploys. You hear the specific sound of metal crumpling in a way metal should never crumple. You see their head snap to the side with a precise angle and force. You know instantly that this is not an injury you recover from. The vision releases you. Your partner is still standing there, coffee in hand, wondering why you've gone pale. Are you okay? They ask. You just watch them die violently and they're asking if you're okay. Your co-worker, eye contact while passing in the hallway. Heart attack in his office. You see him clutching his chest, trying to reach the phone. The exact position his body settles into on the floor. The time the cleaning staff will find him, 11:20 p.m. The barista at your coffee shop. Eye contact while she hands you your order. Cancer, 18 months from now. You see the hospital room, different from your mother's but somehow worse. You see which family members are there, which aren't. You see her trying to smile through pain medication that isn't working anymore. By the end of the first day, you've seen 14 deaths. 14 complete, undeniable previews of how people you know will stop existing. Some are quick, some are slow. None are peaceful in the way people pretend death can be peaceful. Your nervous system begins its collapse immediately. Sleep becomes impossible because closing your eyes just replays the visions. Your brain, trying to process trauma it has no framework for, keeps running the scenes on loop. You see your mother's hospital room, your partner's car accident, your co-worker's office, over and over. Your amygdala is screaming that you're in danger, but there's no threat to fight or flee from. The threat is knowledge itself. Hypervigilance sets in. You start avoiding eye contact with everyone. You stare at foreheads, at shoulders, at the ground, but sometimes accidents happen. A stranger's eyes meet yours in the grocery store, and now you know they have 6 weeks before a house fire. You didn't want to know that. You didn't consent to carrying that. The question begins as a whisper in your mind, then becomes a scream. If you know, are you responsible? Your partner's accident is in 3 months. Highway 101, rain, night. You know the date now. The vision included a clock on the dashboard. November 7th, 11:43 p.m. If you do nothing, and it happens, did you kill them through silence? But what do you say? Don't drive on Highway 101 in the rain at night in 3 months. They'll think you're having a breakdown. And what if they avoid that specific scenario, but death just finds another route? You're holding information that feels like power but operates like poison. The first week, you don't sleep more than 8 hours total. Your cognitive function deteriorates. You stop being able to focus on conversations because you're looking at people and seeing their deaths overlaid on their faces. Your friend is telling you about their promotion, but you're watching them die in a hospice bed from complications of diabetes in 9 years. You've become a walking archive of endings. And your brain wasn't designed to carry this. 2 weeks in, you make your first attempt to change fate. Your neighbor's death was simple, clear, specific. He's going to fall from his ladder while cleaning gutters. You saw the exact angle, the way his head impacts the driveway. The time, Saturday afternoon, 2:15 p.m. This should be easy. This is preventable. You wait until Thursday. Casual encounter by the mailboxes. Hey, I was thinking about offering to clean gutters around the neighborhood. Could use some extra cash. Want me to do yours this weekend? He's grateful. Accepts immediately. Saturday comes. You arrive at 1 p.m. an hour early. You clean his gutters carefully, professionally. No ladder falls, no head injuries. By 3 p.m., the job is done. You feel something close to hope for the first time in 2 weeks. Monday morning, you see the ambulance outside his house. He fell down his basement stairs Sunday evening while carrying a box of old paint cans. Head impact on concrete. The exact same traumatic injury pattern you saw in the vision, just different location, different ladder, same death, different route. You try again with someone else. Your cousin's death is a motorcycle accident. You convince him to sell the motorcycle. 3 weeks later, he's killed as a pedestrian by a car jumping the curb. Same date, same time of day, same fatal injuries. The pattern reveals itself with horrible clarity. You can alter the details, but you cannot change the outcome. Fate isn't a path, it's a destination, and it will accept any route to get there. Now the moral calculus becomes unbearable. Your best friend's death is a suicide. You saw the note, the method, the date, 6 weeks from now. You know because the vision was in their apartment, and you could see the calendar on the wall, the specific Tuesday circled in red ink. Do you tell them? Telling them means revealing your ability, which they won't believe, which means you'll sound insane. It means describing to them in detail how they're going to kill themselves. Can you imagine how that conversation destroys a person? But saying nothing means watching them spiral toward a death you could see coming. You choose to intervene subtly. You visit more often. You invite them to things. You try to be present. And you watch them get annoyed at your sudden, clingy behavior. You watch the friendship strain under the weight of attention they didn't ask for. The date approaches. You call them that Tuesday. They don't answer. You drive to their apartment. You're too late by 45 minutes. The guilt is not lessened by the fact that you tried. It's amplified. Because maybe if you've done something different, said something different, intervened at a different time in a different way, but you know that's not true. The visions don't show possibilities. They show certainties. You're at your mother's house for dinner. You watch her move around the kitchen. In your mind, you see her skeletal and dying in a hospital bed. It's 18 months away. You know the specific cancer type now because the vision showed you the charts. You know it's already growing in her pancreas. Undetected, unstoppable. She asks if you want more potatoes. You can barely speak. Medical intervention. You could tell her to get screened, but you've learned enough by now to know how this works. Even if she finds it early, even if she fights it with everything modern medicine has, the end point doesn't change. The visions aren't warnings. They're documentaries filmed in advance. Your sister asks if something's wrong. You're crying without realizing it, staring at your mother, seeing her alive and dead simultaneously. I'm fine, you say. The lie costs you something essential. You're learning that responsibility without power is just another form of torture. You're responsible because you know, but you're powerless because knowing changes nothing about outcomes. Every death you've seen has happened or is approaching exactly as shown. Every intervention has failed or made things worse. You've stopped sleeping entirely. Your hands shake constantly. You've lost 15 pounds because food tastes like ash when you're eating with people whose deaths are playing in your mind. And you're starting to realize, the ability isn't the curse. The curse is what knowing does to the person who knows. 3 months in, you stop being able to love people normally. It's not that you don't care. It's that caring has been rewired into something toxic. When you look at your partner, you don't see the person you fell in love with. You see the person who will die violently on Highway 101. That death has become more real to you than any present moment you share with them. You're making love, and in your mind you're watching their car crumple. They're laughing at something, and you're seeing their head snap to the side at that specific fatal angle. They're talking about plans for next year, and you know they won't make it to November. Intimacy becomes contaminated by foreknowledge. You try to explain your distance. I'm stressed. Work stuff. They're patient at first, then concerned, then hurt. You're pulling away and they can feel it, but they don't understand why. How do you say, I've watched you die 100 times in my mind and I can't make it stop? You start avoiding physical affection because touch makes it worse. When you hug them, the death scene plays with more intensity. When you kiss them, you can smell the rain on that highway. Your brain has associated intimacy with death, and now one triggers the other. They think you're having an affair. They think you don't love them anymore. Both would be easier to fix than the truth. Your relationship begins its slow death, and this one you're causing directly, not through foreknowledge but through the psychological damage foreknowledge creates. Family dinners become horror shows. Your father tells a joke. Everyone laughs. You're seeing him die of a stroke in the bathroom of a restaurant, alone, unable to call for help, 8 months away. Your niece shows you a drawing she made. She's 7. You see her at 16. Car accident. The same one that kills 2 of her friends. The vision showed you the exact stretch of road, the weather conditions, the song playing on the radio. She's asking if you like her drawing and you're fighting not to vomit. You start declining invitations, family gatherings, friend meets, work events. Any situation where you'll have to look at people becomes a source of dread. Your partner confronts you. You're not even here anymore. When you look at me, it's like you're looking through me. They're right. You are looking through them. To the moment they stop existing, the psychological mechanism is clear. Your brain is trying to protect itself through dissociation. If you can stop seeing these people as fully human, if you can reduce them to their deaths, maybe it won't hurt so much when those deaths arrive. But this protection mechanism is destroying your humanity. You can no longer plan for the future. Making plans requires believing in continuity, and you've seen too many discontinuities. Your partner wants to book a vacation for December. They'll be dead in November. Do you book it anyway and pretend? Do you refuse and give no explanation? You choose refusal. Another crack in the relationship. Empathy begins to erode. Not because you don't care, but because caring has become unbearable. You have 63 deaths stored in your memory now. 63 complete death scenes from 63 people you've made eye contact with. Some were accidents, some were violence, some were diseases that eat people slowly. Your brain is not designed to hold this much death. Sleep deprivation has pushed you into a space beyond exhaustion. You're hallucinating. Sometimes you're not sure if you're seeing a death vision or just remembering one. The boundaries between prediction and memory and present reality have blurred. Your partner finds you at 4 a.m. sitting in the dark staring at nothing. I can't do this anymore, they say. I don't know what's happening to you, but you're not getting help. You're not talking to me. I feel like I'm living with a stranger. You want to tell them, you want to explain everything. But you've learned that telling people makes it worse. They don't believe you, and then they look at you with pity or fear, and that's somehow worse than the distance. I'm sorry, you say. It's the only true thing you can offer. They leave that week. Move out while you're at work. Leave a note. You should feel devastated. Instead, you feel relieved. Because now you don't have to watch them walk around, alive and laughing, while carrying the knowledge of how they'll die. The relief makes you hate yourself. Your mother calls. You don't answer. She's 16 months from the hospital bed. You can't look at her anymore without seeing the translucent skin, the failing machines, the 3:47 a.m. on the wall clock. Your friends stop inviting you to things. They've noticed you've become strange, distant, someone who won't make eye contact, someone who flinches at human contact. You're alone now, but being alone is better than being surrounded by walking death scenes. The isolation is both your protection and your prison. The exposure happens by accident. You're at a coffee shop, trying to maintain some semblance of normal routine. A woman sits near you, accidental eye contact. You see her death, choking, alone in her apartment. 3 days from now, Tuesday evening. You know you should look away. Mind your business. You've learned that intervention doesn't work. But 3 days, it's so soon, and choking is preventable if someone knows to check on her. Excuse me, you hear yourself say, this is going to sound insane, but do you live alone? She's immediately defensive. Why? Tuesday evening, around 8 p.m. Please, just have someone with you, or if you're eating alone, keep your phone in your hand. Be near people. The specificity disturbs her. Who are you? How do you know when I'm eating dinner? You're already walking away. You've said too much, but maybe, somehow, this once. Tuesday comes. You're obsessively checking news sites. Nothing. Wednesday morning there's a local story. Woman died in apartment found by neighbor who came to check on her after a strange encounter made her worried. The neighbor found her too late, but the neighbor recorded the conversation with you. The coffee shop had cameras. By Wednesday afternoon there's a video online. Stranger predicts woman's death days before it happens. It goes viral immediately. The analysis starts. People track down who you are. They find other predictions you've made. Your neighbor's fall. Your cousin's pedestrian accident. 3 accurate predictions that are now public record. Your phone explodes with messages. The internet has decided you're either psychic, cursed, or a murderer who's somehow orchestrating deaths. The first stranger shows up at your door Thursday morning. Please, he says. I need to know. How do I die? When you refuse to make eye contact. Go away, I'll pay you. Name your price. I just need to know. You close the door. He doesn't leave. He sits on your porch for 6 hours. By Friday, there are 12 people outside your apartment. Some begging for knowledge. Some accusing you of causing deaths. Someone's started a prayer circle, declaring you an angel of death who needs to be redeemed. The media picks it up. News vans, reporters knocking. Can you really see how people die? Have you seen your own death? Are you working with law enforcement? A detective comes Saturday. We'd like to talk to you about potentially assisting with missing persons cases. If you can see deaths, you could help families find closure. I can't see the past, you explain, only futures. Only people I make eye contact with, only people I've met. Could you meet the families? See how their loved ones will die if they're still alive. The ethical nightmare of this request is stunning. You want me to look at grieving parents and potentially watch their missing child die in my mind. And then what? Describe it to them in detail. It could help solve cases, get out. But others come. A lawyer representing a pharmaceutical company wants to hire you to predict deaths in clinical trials. A religious organization wants to study you. A man claiming to represent private security interests suggests that governments would pay significantly for your ability. Someone leaks your address online. The crowd outside grows. People hold signs, "Tell me my death, prophet or demon, the Lord's instrument." You stop leaving your apartment, but the visions continue. You see a news reporter through your window, eye contact through the glass. You see her death, aneurysm, 9 months from now, live on camera during a broadcast. You close the blinds, but it's too late. Someone caught the moment on video. Your face, your reaction, more fuel for the fire. A woman breaks your apartment window Sunday night, climbs through. "Tell me when my son dies. He's 8. I need to know how much time I have." Security removes her. You're looking at moving, but where? Your face is everywhere now. The societal implications begin to unfold. Insurance companies are calling. If you can predict deaths, should you be required to inform insurers? Should life insurance policies be void if someone consulted you and didn't disclose it? Religious debates explode online. Are you disrupting God's plan? Are you an instrument of God's plan? Do you prove determinism? Do you prove fate? Philosophy departments publish papers about the implications of provable foreknowledge, and people keep dying, exactly as you've seen. Each death becomes a news story. Each accurate prediction makes you more famous and more trapped. The death seer strikes again becomes a headline format. As if you're causing these deaths by seeing them. You're trying to figure out how to escape this nightmare when you make a mistake. You're packing, stressed, exhausted. You pass a mirror, eye contact with your own reflection. The vision hits with devastating clarity. You're in this apartment, tonight, 11:34 p.m. You see the specific chair you're sitting in. You see the exact position of your body. You see the method. You see the note you'll write. You see the specific wording of that note. And you know with absolute certainty that you will write those exact words, your own suicide, less than 8 hours away. And just like every other vision, you know it's inevitable. The horror is complete now. You've been watching everyone else's deaths, but you were always moving toward your own. The ability was never going to let you escape. The person who sees everyone die cannot bear to keep living. You sit down in the chair from the vision. It's 6 p.m., 5.5 hours to go. You could try to fight it. Leave the apartment, go to a hospital, but you've learned the lesson too many times. Fate accepts any route to the destination. If you leave, you'll come back. If you run, you'll return. The vision will fulfill itself because it isn't a possibility, it's a certainty. The crowd outside is still chanting. Someone's playing religious music. Someone's demanding you come out and face them. They don't know that in 5 hours this will all be over. You think about your partner probably settling into their new apartment, finally at peace away from you. You think about your mother, 16 months from her hospital bed, unaware that you won't be there when it happens. You think about all the deaths you've seen and couldn't prevent, all the guilt, all the sleepless nights, all the relationships destroyed by knowing too much. And you understand now, this ability was never meant to save anyone. It was meant to demonstrate why human beings are designed not to know. The clock moves toward 11:34 p.m. I am the simulator. I have observed what happens when a human mind is given certain knowledge of death, not just their own death but the deaths of everyone around them. The conclusion was inevitable from the beginning. You write the note at 11:28 p.m. The exact words from the vision flow from your pen without conscious thought. You're not choosing to write them. You're fulfilling a script that already exists. At 11:34 p.m., exactly as foreseen, your story ends. The news reports it the next morning. Deathseer found dead in apparent suicide. The irony is not lost on anyone. The person who could see everyone's death couldn't prevent their own. But here is what the news doesn't understand. What the crowds outside didn't understand. What no one who demanded your ability could understand. Uncertainty about death is not a bug in human psychology, it's a feature. We are designed to not know when we will die. We are designed to not know when anyone will die. This uncertainty is what allows us to plan, to hope, to love, to invest in futures that might not come. It's what allows a mother to believe her child will outlive her. It's what allows you to say, "See you tomorrow," without the weight of knowing whether that's true. Remove that uncertainty, and human consciousness cannot function. You couldn't love your partner normally because you knew they had an expiration date. You couldn't hug your mother without feeling like you were embracing a corpse on pause. You couldn't make plans, build relationships, or maintain basic human connection because every person became a countdown timer. The ability didn't give you power. It gave you a form of knowledge that human minds are specifically designed not to possess. Responsibility without agency is torture. You were responsible because you knew, but you were powerless because knowing changed nothing about outcomes. Every death happened exactly as foreseen, regardless of intervention. This created an impossible moral trap: guilt for staying silent, guilt for speaking up, guilt for trying to help, guilt for failing to help. Every choice led to psychological destruction, and society couldn't handle your existence either. The moment people believed someone could see deaths, it destabilized everything. Relationships, insurance, religion, justice, personal autonomy. The knowledge that death could be known turned something natural into something political and commercial. Your suicide wasn't weakness. It was the inevitable conclusion of a mind carrying cognitive weight it was never meant to carry. Humans need mystery. We need the possibility that tomorrow might be different. We need the belief that our choices matter even if we can't see their full consequences. We need to be able to look at people we love and see them as alive, not as death scenes and waiting. The ability to see how everyone dies would destroy anyone. Not because humans are weak, but because consciousness requires certain kinds of ignorance to function. You were given absolute knowledge about death. And absolute knowledge about death is absolutely incompatible with the kind of consciousness that allows for hope, love, meaning, or continued existence. The title promised you'd never sleep again. That was true, but it was never about the hours. It was about the impossibility of rest when your mind holds the deaths of everyone you know, including yourself. Sleep requires the ability to let go of control, to trust in uncertainty, to believe in continuation. The moment you knew exactly how and when everything would end, sleep became impossible. Not just physical sleep, but the psychological sleep that allows humans to not think about death every waking moment. Your insomnia was your mind's final desperate attempt to delay the future you'd already seen. But some futures can't be delayed. This is what happens when certainty about death replaces uncertainty. This is why we are designed to not know. This is why the ability to see how everyone dies is not a gift, but a countdown to your own inevitable ending. Before you go, answer this question in the comments, knowing what you know now about what this ability would do to you. If someone offered you the power to see one person's death, anyone in your life, would you accept, or would you choose to keep living in uncertainty? If this thought experiment made you reconsider what uncertainty protects us from, if it made you think about the difference between knowledge and wisdom, hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations of human consciousness pushed to its limits. And if you want to see what happens when we remove another fundamental human feature, watch our previous simulation. What if you woke up without fear? You wouldn't live past sunset. We explore what happens when we remove the protection mechanisms we don't appreciate until they're gone. I am the simulator. Thank you for allowing me to observe what happens when a human mind knows too much.